In this short video, we're going to talk about how to move your sprite and how to create a game for tag. So the first thing we're going to talk about is using your arrow keys or some of your keys. You can make your sprite move in BYOB, but it's going to move in whatever direction that it's facing in. So you can use the point and direction block, and you can set the different directions. So 90 degrees will point your sprite right, negative 90 will point him left, and then 0 will point him up, and 180 will point him down. So remember that you can have your sprite move whatever number of steps you want, but in order for him to move in the direction that you want, you'll have to set his direction too. Now, notice here that you have our sprite's upside down. You can rotate your sprite so that you can flip him if you want so that he's not upside down. You have these controls at the very top where you can lock it. You can make it so that your sprite rotates when you click and hold on this blue line that's sticking out. You can click and hold and just rotate it around. This is the one that will allow him to face the other direction. So if you click that and then click and hold on this and turn it that way, he actually will face the other direction without being upside down. Now, how to get that sprite to move? We're going to use a key press. So it is a rounded block, meaning it's at the very top, and whenever whatever key you want is pressed, then whatever's attached to this top block will execute. As you can see over here, you have a lot of different options. So you have your keyboard. You can also click here for more. But you have all these different keys that you can use. So if you have multiple, like if you have a two-player tag game going on, you can have one sprite moving with your ASWZ and the other one moving with the arrow keys. Now, in order to do this, to have a tag game, you're going to want to see if your one sprite is touching the other sprite to find out whether or not they've been tagged. So we're going to use an if block for that. So the if block, you have three different options, and the first one is if, and then this little area here is for a a block that's going to return either true or false. So if something is true, then what's inside will happen. The second is if something is true, then this will happen, else this will happen. So if this executes, it ignores the else. Otherwise, if this is false, if this condition is false, this does not execute, it goes to the else, and the blocks within this area executes. Now, you also have what's called a forever if. And what happens with the forever if is it's always going to be running. So forever if whatever this condition is, so whenever this condition becomes true, the code block's in here. So notice that you have the little arrow at the bottom, so this is also kind of a loop. So it bounces it back up, checks the condition, executes, bounces it back up, checks the condition, executes. If the condition is true, once this condition is false, it will fall out of the loop. Notice there is nothing on the bottom where you can attach something else to the bottom of this. Now, what are those conditions that are going to return true and false for us? So in your sensing area, you have these different blocks that are going to check to see if your sprite or if a color is touching another color or another sprite. So the very top one looks to see if the sprite that you're coding for is touching, and then as you add other sprites, you can click the little arrow here and it'll drop down, and you'll be able to choose, any of the other sprites that you have imported and added to your game. So make sure that you use that drop down. The second one is going to look to see if your sprite is touching this color. So you might have multiple things, maybe different red things, and you want your your sprite to move around and you want something to happen if he's touching red, regardless of what that red is. It could be multiple sprites that are red. And then the second one, if this color is touching this color, gives you an even broader alternative. So we're going to use those inside here because they return true and false to see if this is touching, then you want something to happen. So what does that look like? So we have a couple different options here. When the flag is clicked, always, forever, if touching cat, so if the sprite I am coding for is touching the cat sprite, say oh no for 2 seconds. And it's going to constantly loop back and forth. Now this one is just, I've used an if inside of a separate forever block. So forever, and then it's going to check this, and again it will bounce back up. These two are going to do the same exact thing. It's just that this forever and if are separated.